We now move on to the next segment, which is the panel discussion number 2 for the day. And the topic for the same would be financial sustainability in private schools, balancing quality and affordability. Interesting topic. It is a deeply relevant topic related to the future of private education in India and beyond. Can private schools innovate to stay both financially viable and accessible to all learners? We are honored to be joined by a distinguished panel of thought leaders who will help us unpack these questions. Please note that the floor will be open for a Q&A session after the panel discussion, so we encourage you to share your questions and insights. Very shortly, we'll have the panelists on stage. Just bear with us for a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are all set for the panel 2. Topic being financial sustainability in private schools, balancing quality and affordability. And let me now introduce our esteemed panelists for the day. First up is Dr. Sangeeta Bhatia, Principal of KIIT World School, Delhi. Dr. Sangeeta Bhatia, recipient of the prestigious National Award for Education from the Ministry of Education, brings with her over 30 years of rich experience in the field of education. 43 years of rich experience in the field of education. A dynamic leader at heart, she has been steadfast in her mission to infuse a global perspective into the curriculum, empowering students to take charge of their own learning journeys. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Let's have a round of applause for Dr. Sangeeta Bhatia, Principal of KIIT World School. Next panelist is Dr. Seema, Saini, CEO of NL Dalmia Education Society, Thane. So next panelist is Dr. Manju Surendran, Director Academics, Fravashi International Academy. With over 25 years of extensive experience in esteemed institutions across India, Dr. Manju Surendran is an innovative academic leader committed to evolving educational paradigms. Her progressive vision for education is complemented by her role as a trainer for principals of Cambridge schools, where she has shared her expertise in fostering academic excellence. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Dr. Manju Surendran. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Next up is Dr. Trupati Agarwal, Chairperson and Director, Vishwakarma Group. She is the visionary chairperson of the Vishwakarma Group of schools, encompassing Vishwakarma Vidyalaya, Wisdom World Schools, and Universal Wisdom School. A passionate educationist with a PhD in educational psychology, she leads with heart and strategy, firmly believing that every child, regardless of background, deserves equal access to quality education and opportunities of self-expression. Very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Let's have a huge round of applause for Dr. Trupati Agarwal. Our next esteemed panelist for the day is Mrs. Rohini Aima, Principal cum Vice Chairperson, Jammu Samskriti School, Jammu. She brings over 38 years of experience in education, currently serving as the founder principal and vice chairperson of Jammu Samskriti School. She is renowned for her innovative approach to quality education and teacher development. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Let's hear it for Mrs. Rohini Aima. Our last panelist is Ms. Aparna Magee, Principal of Delhi Public School, Sushant Lok. She has held diverse roles in education as a director, principal, academic advisor, administrator, and master trainer across reputed convent and international schools. An academic achiever, she secured first position in her teaching course from Delhi University and was a merit holder in mathematics from Vikram University. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Let's hear it for Miss Aparna Magee, ladies and gentlemen. Well, before I hand over the mic to the moderator, it's now over to Dr. Sangeeta Bhatia to please take forward the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be with Team Education today in Mumbai, a city that knows how to balance dreams and realities every single day. In many ways, our discussion on financial stability in private schools is no different. We are also trying to balance aspirations with affordability. Isn't that a challenge with each one of us? Excellence with equity. While walking this fine line, parents want everything like best of infrastructure, best of everything, in the sense they want us to have smart classes. They want best of teachers, state-of-the-art labs, co-curriculars, global exposure, everything. But at the same time, fees is increasing so much for the middle-class families that a third of their salaries, third of their income goes for education of their children. Now, if we look at schools, schools are also walking on a tightrope, increasing salaries, revised pay commissions, much better need of infrastructure, so many labs that are needed, compliances, the costs are escalating every year. And with most schools entirely dependent on tuition fees as the only source of income, even a small dip in recovery of fee or a delayed admissions or drop in admissions cause all the more troubles for each and every school. So how do we strike a balance? How do schools stay financially healthy while ensuring affordability for parents? How do we talk about world-class quality without making it out of reach for the society, for the parents? That's what this entire discussion is about. Financial sustainability in private schools, balancing quality and affordability. Let me now bring in our panelists to share their experiences and ideas. First, I move to Dr. Manju Surendran. Dr. Manju, do you think regulation actually builds trust or does it tie the hands of schools? And what would a fair middle ground look like?
Thank you for the question. Am I audible to all of you? Could I have your attention? We're talking money, right? So regulation is quite a favorite word for school in all aspects, barring fees. I think all of you would agree with that. With respect to education, I would like to contextualize it first before answering that question. With respect to private schools, where the fee regulation and other aspects come into the picture, education being a concurrent subject and it becomes state-specific, and you rightly contextualize it saying that all the private schools are dependent 80% on the tuition fee. The only regulatory aspect that comes from the government for the private schools begins with fee and other aspects where there is a cost being incurred. So when you talk about regulation, when an institution which is completely privately run, that means the funding, the cost, everything is being taken care of by an institution at their own end, and the regulation only looks after fee, it definitely becomes a challenge. Unlike banks, where there is, because of a non-performing asset, if the banks go down, the government steps in to help. Post-pandemic, if you've seen, more than 10,000 schools have shut down because of the operational cost. Nobody stepped in to support it at that point of time. And if I have to talk about a recent directive which has come from one of the largest educational board in the country, that all schools must have CCTV surveillance end-to-end and make it available. Today, if a school was to purchase a basic CCTV surveillance camera at a cost of 45,000 rupees, 18% is GST, right? So when we talk about regulation, it's very conveniently overlooked the regulatory aspect which brings in the cost also. The fee is catering for everything. And when you're talking about quality education, whether it is, you don't even need to go to the Right to Education Act. How do you provide quality without the funds being available? So I would rather rephrase it that it's not about looking at the middle path. It's about being very effective about what you're looking at it. This is the only policy where the impacted or the stakeholders are never on the table while discussing policy. None of the educational institutions and rather the private stakeholders are ever called for the policy discussion. We don't have a FICCI to lobby for the education department from the private organizations. So I think a more pragmatic approach would definitely bring in where the stakeholders are an equal party to the discussion and not just thumping down a policy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manju. This brings me to another question for Dr. Trupati Agarwal. Or shall I say, Mrs. Rohini, Aima, would you like to take this question? You know, parents expect premium experiences at modest fee. Now, how do you handle this mismatch? Do we reset parental expectations? Or do schools keep stretching to deliver more for less?
Namaskar everyone. I hope I am audible. Ma'am, as you said that if we want to listen to the parents and we keep on stretching as per the demands of the parents, I think then no school can fulfill all the aspirations of the parents. But yes, as a school, we need to know our vision and mission, which should be clearly stated to the parents and all the stakeholders. In those our statements, we need to define the needs and wants. So there is a difference between the needs and wants. The parents should know what is the need and what is the want. The schools need to define these terms very clearly to all the stakeholders. As academics in the school, we need to look after the academics and the holistic development of the children. So if that part is looked after well, I think the subsidiary additional things can follow with clear discussion with the parents. Now is the era of digital, era where every school, every organization needs to have latest digital tools in the school. Now, if we can afford in the fee that we charge as a school, it's well and good. But otherwise, if we really want to introduce the latest digital tools in the school, we can have some tie-ups with the edtech companies. And before tying up with the edtech companies, what we actually have practically experienced, let's have an exhibition put by them in the school. Let the parents be there to know what the thing is, what they are going to deliver, and how expensive it will be if they are going to go solely through that edtech company. But if it's a school where collaboration with the school we are putting up those things, then they become little, affordable. So such kind of tie-ups can be there. Now my school, if I talk about practically, we do have good infrastructure, but we don't have a swimming pool. We don't have a shooting range. But for such things, if I want to give that education also to my children, I can have a tie-up with the, state stadium and other areas where these infrastructures are there. So that also cuts down on just lavishly spending on these things which are barely used maybe 2 months a year. So we can have the tie-ups with such places where the children can learn if actually parents want. But for me, ultimately, I would like to put in 2 sentences that once we are running the educational institutions, needs and wants, as I said, should be stated. And our aim is to bring up the child as a good human being. That part should be looked after much better way than just, having the demand of parents, they should have educational trips to the other countries or somewhere like that. The other countries, the same experience can be gained in our own country. There's vast era of, history, culture in the country. So we need to explain these things well in advance to the parents. Ultimately, our aim is to bring the holistic development in the children and make them good human beings of the country. Thank you so much.
Very well taken, Ms. Rohini. Since Dr. Trupati Agarwal comes with the background of being a promoter, my question to you is, most of our schools run with more than 90% through tuition fees. That makes us very fragile. What are some practical alternatives? Is it alumni support, CSR, partnerships, skill providers, some programs which have worked or could work in future for school education system? Dr. Trupti.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the question, ma'am. Actually, your question itself answers the entire thing. Uh, so I would say that all together works for the school education because, yes, we depend on tuition fees 90%. What we experience at Vishwakarma Group of Schools is we believe that schooling is a long-term plan, and so the planning has to be long-term. It can't be a short-term planning for a year. We have to think long-term beyond the year and have the surplus, which is earn a reasonable surplus, which should then be utilized to form a corpus, have interest earning from it, and then that interest can be used to meet the needs and wants of parents. This has practically happened with us during the time of COVID, when there were no fees received. We all have gone through that phase, and the corpus fund, the interest that we have earned from that corpus, played the major role in it.
Wow.
So what we have done, the salaries were paid. I think we were one of the few schools which paid 100% salaries with the increment that is due every year.
Wow.
So that was only possible because of the corpus we have been working for 20 plus years now. So we work on that, plus CSR activities. We are lucky in Pune to have good infrastructure. We do have tie-ups with the new startups which don't have the funds to build up the lavish infrastructure. Our infrastructure is old but maintained, very good condition, heated pools, so can be used around the year and can be given to the sport enthusiastic. That are the extra earnings the school earns, and that is how we can meet the needs and wants of the parents, make up the labs that students need for their holistic development, and can build up their skills.
Thank you so much, Dr. Trupti, because that's an area where we as administrators are always in a constant struggle. But while doing that, Ms. Aparna, Magee, I know you're handling your school very well. My question to you would be, how do we balance social equity with financial sustainability in real, actionable way, as you may be doing in your campus?
Ma'am, thank you so much for the question. Greetings, everyone. Namaskar. I know that we have gone through a lot of time here and a little bit tired, so we can just warm up and just think about what topic we had. And before I start saying anything, I would definitely like to congratulate Mr. Anil Sharma and Ms. Vibha Raj for this excellent arrangement and getting us as educationists together. This conferences, whenever we come, I don't know how everybody takes it, but I takes it as great experience of learning and sharing. What do you say, ma'am? We get to talk to each other, and we spend time, and we learn so much from each other. We share our best practices. We get to know what new is coming in education, and we upgrade ourselves, which is always needed by us. So thank you so much for the time that we had today. As far as the question is related, I feel I can only add to what Trupti ma'am has been talking about. It's almost the same thing. I always believe that balancing equity and sustainability is a non-negotiable and a very sensitive topic. When we talk about it, it's not about how much everybody, when we talk about it, it's all about fairness. When we talk about fairness, it's not about how much everybody needs it, it's how much that we should be providing to people whenever education is considered, and what can we give it to our children. Social equity is not charity, it's justice. And that's what we think about when basically when we definitely come to education. So when I think about this and what we can do, I can share the practices that we have in our schools. And we can think of different ways, some actions that can be taken. Just suggestions are what we can give to each other. So what I believe the very first thing which comes to my mind is a tiered fee structure. When I talk about a tiered fee structure, that it can be linked to the income, salary income bracket of the parents. So in a way, for example, I think we can have, like suppose in a school, 20% fees structure can be subsidized. We can have a 50% fee structure which is regular. We can have a 30% fee structure which is based on premium group of parents, so that it is each one supporting another one. We can come to that higher income group can definitely work up and help others, and because at the end of the day, we all do whatever we do for our children. And education is the most economic basic necessity for everybody. So we can come up, think of those things. Second thing I can think of is about scholarships and sponsorships. That comes to my mind. A very good scholarship system in a school really helps a lot. So we have a very strong scholarship in our school, and it goes like, it's not only about academic scholarship, it is sports scholarship, it is a scholarship regarding aesthetics also. There can be a child who's very good in art and maybe participating at the level of school for different art competitions, district level, state level, even national level. CBSE clusters, if we are talking about CBSE schools. So many things are there. So we can definitely make sure that we are providing scholarship, that the child shines and get a chance to share the unique potential with others. Same way, when we talk about sponsorships, we can have alumni sponsorships. We can have a CSR help. We can build up things like blended working on this particular thing can be there, that we can share, the labs can be shared from one school which has got very good labs and infrastructure. The other schools can come and share those particular things, and there can be a timetable made accordingly, so that everybody gets to use things which is there. As far as schools are concerned, they definitely need money. At the end of the day, a promoter and owner opens a school because it's a business for them also. It's a bread and butter for everybody that they have to think about. So they can also they can also have their equal share by having, I think, evening academies, and use whatever facilities are there. So it is a win-win situation for everybody. Owners also earn from the evening academies, the sports academies, the aesthetic academies, and also children in the nearby areas. They don't have to go and play somewhere and pay more there. They can use the school in the evening, all the facilities which are there, and they can go ahead with that. So I can only tell you at the end, with all the thoughts which come to my mind, that this comes to my mind, and we worked on it because there came a parent who had a fixed income. There were 2 children in the school, and the parent, and definitely we have fee raises also, which is very normal according to the state rules, and whatever is asked, that the schools can raise the fee accordingly. So he very nicely, the gentleman came and sat and discussed with me about how it is becoming unaffordable, that he is not able to, because his salary is not rising. So then I asked him to write an application. It was discussed with the management, and the fees for the second child was subsidized, but it was said that the child has to work equally hard and make sure that the work is done. So this is what actually is something we can do, and we can sponsorships. We can make sure that alumni comes and help the other their school mates who are there in the school now. So these are various things which can come, which comes to my mind, and we actually have it in practice also. In the end, I can only tell you that alone we can do so little, but together we can do much more, as Helen Keller has so nicely said. Together we can make a big difference. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for beautiful share through your own experiences. One last remark from Dr. Manju before we come to close of the session.
Thank you so much. More than a remark, it's rather a question to the audience, or a thought to ponder over, since we have leaders and promoters in the auditorium over here. Just wanted to bring this up with everyone. Education seems to be the only sector in the economy where the kind of regulation which holds it back, if we take the example of what happened during the pandemic, even essential services like the hospitals would not be serving anybody unless the bills were paid. But education was the only sector which rose to the time at that point of time. Teachers transitioned to a digital world, and when the question came about unpaid fees, I don't think so the regulatory bodies supported, especially the private schools, the way it should have. And what I mentioned earlier, more than 10,000 schools shut down. So that's a perspective that we need to have when we talk about financial stability and quality. And it cannot be a linear thought of only regulation. It needs to also take into account what is the quality being delivered by a private institution in the field of education. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manju. Thanks to all the panelists for all these thoughtful insights. Well, issue of financial sustainability is not anymore about choosing between affordability and quality. It's about balancing both with trust and creativity. On regulation, we heard the need for clear, consistent and predictable frameworks that reassure parents without tying the hands of schools. On the quality, cost question, it was clear what really matters is not those shiny infrastructure, but the strength of teachers, learning outcomes, and the students' well-being. We also touched on the delicate area of parental expectation. Schools cannot endlessly stretch themselves to deliver more for less anymore. So honest communication, as put by Dr. Aparna, the idea of premium education is essential, but transparency too. Another strong area that was addressed was break away from tuition dependency, CSR partnerships, various kind of supports, creative use of school resources. They add to stability without compromising the educational mission. And finally, talking about equity, the message was very strong. Inclusivity is no more charity. It is responsibility. Whether it's through scholarships, cross subsidies, community partnerships, schools must ensure that good education does not become a privilege of few. So if I may sum up in one line, financial sustainability is not just about balancing accounts, it's about balancing trust, innovation, and inclusivity. Thank you once again, all the panelists and the audience for engaging with this very prevalent conversation about financial sustainability. Thanks once again to all of you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. Let's have another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would now request Mr. Anil Sharma to please join us on stage to felicitate the panelists, ladies and gentlemen.